Sup losers, I'm a blue bat, and I'm not gonna lie. No magic tricks, no beating around the bush, none of that. Animation was treated like absolute crap in 2022. I mean, sure, there are a bunch of amazing anime projects during that year, but considering how badly animation got screwed over by corporations wanting to make a buck, I'm pretty sure we can all call 2022 1350 for animation. First off, during the Oscar Award for Best Animated Film, a bunch of pretty Disney princesses came into the stage and said some...
Because animated films make up some of our most formative movie experiences as kids.
So many kids watch these movies over and over.
And over and over and over and over and over.
I see some parents out there know exactly what we're talking about.
Not very cash money things about animation. Then Netflix started cancelling animated projects like the highly anticipated Bones and laying off their animation staff. And last but certainly not least, corporate weirdo David Zaslav, as part of the Warner Bros. Discovery merger, decided to take off some of their animated projects from HBO Max, meaning that the only way you can watch them now is going down to
pirate country,
with one of those shows being my favorite show on planet Earth, Mao Mao Heroes Appear Hard. This show has been put through the ringer. The last time an episode of this show aired was in 2020, and ever since then, other than a teaser for season 2, no new news of this show has came out. And let's not get into the 1984 censorship that they put this show through, although they have reversed that. But I'm not gonna sit around and let a bunch of capitalist kangaroos disrespect the art of animation. No, I'm going to be the savior of the show by making this video, make it go viral, and hope that something happens. Okay, sure, I'm grasping at straws here, but it's either that or I become a cult leader. Because if you can't tell from my suspicious similarities to one of the show's character designs, I love this show. It got me out of a dark time in my life where I couldn't really think for myself and instead followed the thoughts of others, often to my own detriment. But this show got me out of that. And this is one of those rare few shows where I can say that I was emotionally attached to most of these characters and their struggles. And considering that there are some episodes with hints at a more story-driven direction for the series, I was very excited. Not only would this mean that the show could expand on its themes of heroism and trauma in a deeper, more complex way, but it would also mean I could get to see these characters I've grown so attached to have some serious character development. If this show had gotten more seasons, I'd honestly think that it could rival shows that are already popular in the cartoon community, like The Owl House and Amphibia. It would have been amazing. But no! Instead I had to wait 2.5 years for David Zaslav to ruin any chances of that second season coming out. Yay. And that just sucks, because after those 2 years of being obsessed with the show and some of its characters, I came to realize something. This show is not perfect. There are a bunch of flaws that the show have that I have now just realized. Whether it's Badgerclops, the inconsistencies with continuity, Badgerclops, some absolutely mean-spirited episodes, mainly involving Badgerclops, and oh yeah, did I mention I dislike Badgerclop? But despite all that, I still love this show, and I'm willing to criticize it so it can improve on those flaws in later seasons. Or, well, if it gets any. But enough of that. If you've seen my Dogs in Space video, you'll know the formula. I'll go through the episodes in release order, and I'll review them. One more thing, I'll be using the online Mao Mao tier list to sum up my verdict on these episodes, with S tier being absolutely legendary, while E tier means worse than a bubonic plague, with the ones in the middle, A to D, ranging in those extremes. Alright, enough rambling, so let's just start the intro already. And we start off with episode 1, I Love You Mao Mao. Oh my gosh, why must I already be feeling pain this quickly? This episode is a great introduction to the series. All you need to know about the show is in this episode, from the characters' motives and personalities to the premise that the entire show builds itself upon. And it's as simple as this. There's a blue bat, there's a black cat samurai, and cyborg badger. They destroy the ship of the Sky Pirates, accidentally break the Ruby Pier Heart, meet the retarded Care Bears that live on the said heart, and save them from burning the dinosaur. With then get to see the reason why I'm unhealthily obsessed with the show. Whoop-de-doo, the Sky Pirates are back. They stop them again with Dorbat dealing the final blow, and Mama becomes Sheriff of Piahat Valley with Dorbat and Badgerclops as deputies. It's as simple as that.
This is a bad idea, man. These pirates aren't messing around. Just look at the decor.
Oh. You're worried about that? Well then, that really says a lot about you. And the characters are introduced in a great way as well. Mao Mao is abrasive and hot-blooded, yet still takes his responsibility as a hero seriously, shown when he decides to protect Piahat Valley, even if that means that he won't be able to become a legendary hero. Badgerclops is cool and level-headed, even though he might be lazy at times. Note that I didn't say the words childish jerk. And Adorabat is... well, adorable, and shown to be very fearless, like when she saves Mao Mao and Badgerclops from being laser beamed! And resisting Orange Snake's temptation, taking an influence from Mao Mao's words, and dealing the final blow. And the look on Orange Snake's face when she blows up the engine. That has got to be the biggest I made an oopsie face I've ever seen.
Attention, you scurvy dogs and other creatures.
Scurvy jellyfish! And then there's King Snugglemane, or as I like to call him, Trans Mufasa. Yeah, he's alright. This episode highlights his personality well. There isn't much of him to talk about in this episode, except for the moment where he gives himself a medal, which is a very funny moment. So all I'll say is that he has some great episodes focusing on him later down the line. One more thing I would like to highlight is the cinematography, or well, whatever you want to call it. The way these frames are composed have a mild cinematic quality to them, which gives the episodes a dramatic edge, and there's a reason for that. This episode is written and storyboarded by Nathaniel H. Jones and Alexandria Kwan, and I want you to remember those names because I think that they are behind the best episodes that this series has. Their dramatic, clean, and stylish framing has led to some of my favorite episodes, so be keen on that. So, overall, this episode is a great introduction to the series. I'm putting this episode in A tier.
And what do you want?
I want to be that!
Be what now?
This!
Adventurer, swordsman, an action hero.
A hero! Yeah! I want to be a hero!
The nostalgia's hitting me from the inside!
All I'm asking for is total perfection.
Ah, the perfect adventure, and all you need is some pliers and a chain link fence hiding a secret government facility. So, I don't have a lot of complaints with this episode. This is the second episode after all, so I don't expect anything too out of left field. So Mama's getting kind of bored with babysitting all the smelly weirdos, and lamenting on all the cool adventures he and Badgerclops used to go on, highlighting 4 key elements to a perfect adventure: mystery, high stakes, extreme danger, and a big fat reward. Those factors also apply to breaking into a classified government facility if you count forbidden knowledge as your big fat reward. Mama's starting to think that his adventuring days are over. And Adorabat sees Mama's sad face and says,
"Well, that's not very cash money of you."
And decides to make up an adventure for the gang to go on. Pros, it works. Cons?
Tell me what you... Oh.
There's a body count.
Whoa!
What the... Actually, speaking of Adorabat, what is with her voice?
Someday I'm gonna be an adventurer, just like him! See? I'm the big one!
She sounds like she's been buddy snatched by hypnotist Sappho. Well, that is because this show has child voiced by an adult syndrome, with Adorabat being voiced by Laika Leong, an adult. And it really shows in these earlier episodes. While her voice in the later episodes is absolutely amazing and is the definitive voice I give the character, her voice in these earlier episodes sounds like wet soggy bread in audio form. Voice acting weirdness aside, this is a good episode. We get a look at what the dynamic between these characters are like, while Adorabat rolls along this cookie adventure while committing war crimes along the way. And we also get to look at the nuances of these characters some more. Want me to elaborate? Okay, take Mama's fatherly side. That is not what I meant. In the last episode, Mao Mao mentions that he sees a lot of himself in Adorabat, and we get to see how that manifests in the father-daughter relationship the two have. You see, Mao Mao treats Adorabat like if she was his own daughter, with Mao Mao holding Adorabat's hand when she's scared, Mao Mao forgiving Adorabat when she reveals that she made it all up in the ending, Mao Mao referring to Adorabat as his little deputy. All of their interactions are absolutely adorable and make me want to go, oh. We also get to see some of Undertale's laziness showing through as he gets tired of walking all over the stairs. And over time, we get to see how mischievous Adorabat's game gets, and it leads to some absolutely hilarious moments.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I got him!
But over time, she starts to see how kind of messed up making this all up is. So she decides to come loose in the end, where she is forgiven by best dad Mao Mao. Though I'd be more emotionally invested if the Cartoon Network logo that came with this downloaded footage while the show was taken off the streaming platform I was watching the show on, thanks a lot, Davy Jones, was not covering up Adorabat's face in the finale. So, all in all, this episode has a lot of great stuff in it. It's tightly paced, it's cute, there's this really cool moment where Mao Mao is still smiling even after the bomb is revealed to be just food, foreshadowing the fact that Mao Mao has bigger plans than Adorabat foreseen. It introduces Mao's fatherliness, which is elaborated on in future episodes, which I cannot wait to talk about in further videos. And I love how not annoying Undertale is, unlike in the later episodes where... You know what? I think I'll save that for later. So, this is a great episode that is going in A tier. All that was missing was Adorabat saying, I commit tax evasion!
Jiminy Christmas! It's a machine!
Next up we have... No shortcuts. Well, how the heck am I supposed to get first place in Mario Kart?
What the God? Watch me going, you ninny! Oh, why, you? Ow!
Are they beating themselves up?
Yes, they are, Adorabat, and it is my favorite pastime. This is, yet again, another episode that is solid, which I like. A recurring theme with the early episodes. Look, I could look for something to criticize in this episode, but I'm too distracted by the fact that Mao Mao causes soft drinks.
My victory juice!
So Adorabat feels like she can't keep up with Mao Mao and Breakup, because whenever she gets to fight alongside them, she has the strength and confidence of a lost little puppy. So instead of putting in the time and effort by training alongside Mao Mao, she decides to take the easy route by having Breakup use his cybernetic change arm to carve her left wing. Haha, no, we can't have our child lose another limb. She already had a traumatic time losing the first one. Instead, we'll enhance her prosthetic leg by attaching a device to it that essentially turns her into a cyborg. Oh yeah, cyberpunk! I really like Adorabat's arc in this episode. She's desperate for a quick way to get stronger, so she attaches herself to a device, which I forgot to mention is called the MMHOPH, which does make her stronger. But since she's an inexperienced child, she's very terrible at controlling it and causes more destruction than necessary.
Had to pull an all-nighter, but tomorrow's paper is ready to...
Yet Adorabat clings on to it, leading her to be used by the Sky Pirates to power their... Gundam? And it's seeing her friends get pummeled that makes her give up the MMHOPH, where she then uses her experience from the first battle of the episode to defeat the Sky Pirates. It's great! I also really like how Mao Mao shows some responsibility in this episode. When he sees the destruction Adorabat and her MMHOPH caused, he tells her to give him the MMHOPH, taking responsibility when one of his deputies go too far. I love it! And the Sky Pirates here are great as well. While they're still funny, they also have some genuinely intimidating moments, like when they take advantage of Adorabat to power their Bionicle, and they are especially intimidating when they are. Look me dead in the eye and tell me the last time you were intimidated by a rat wearing a Dragon Ball Scouter.
Over 9,000!
Even though they end up losing in the end, they still put up a good fight, and the moral of the story, boys and girls, is always learn from experience, and that intelligence and smarts always wins against brute force. Ooh, Oh, that's how the French went against the Romans in the Franco-Roman Wars. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention in history class. I also love the final shot after Mao Mao forgives the Dorbat for her recklessness. Mao Mao's all like, whoops, I didn't mean that, ooh. Badgerclops looks at Mao Mao like a parent disappointed with their child's choice to become a furry, and the Dorbat looks about ready to kill someone. So overall, great episode. A tier. Ultraclops. It's like a Cyclops, but Ultra. Ladies and gentlepies, we have ourselves the first Badgerclops-centric episode of the series. It is also the least annoying Badgerclops-centric episode of the series. As you'll come to see throughout this 4-parters, that some of my least favorite episodes are the ones where Badgerclops is in the spotlight. Mainly because they have Badgerclops act unbelievably jerkish often for petty reasons. But I'm giving this episode a pass because unlike those other episodes, Badgerclops has some actually understandable reasons to be upset. You see, Mao Mao and Adorabat have gained a habit of disrespecting Badgerclops in space, not listening to him when he has something to say, and generally being jerks around him. Also, Adorabat can molt. The less we think about that, the better. Well, he could say something about that, but he's conditioned himself to shove his problems where the sun don't shine. And later on, when he gains the magic size-altering device from...
Oh, well, it's too bad we don't have a weird magic thing to make you big. Eh? Oh, yeah! We do have one of those! Oh, she's so helpful. You said soap a lot.
To enter a epic kaiju battle with Godzilla, he then decides to stay big on the account of being free of Mao Mao and Adorabat's stingy behavior. He then uses this and his size as a justification for being a smelly school bully.
Special news announcement from the show Grown-Ups Watch because they hate themselves.
Well, I'm an 18-year-old wearing the skin of a child. Does that count? Mao Mao and Adorabat, in an attempt to stop Badgerclops from destroying the entire kingdom, used the magic size-altering device to confront him in battle, which Mao comes to realize is an idea that belongs in the realm of bad ideas. So instead, he and Adorabat invoke their past behavior in hopes that he'll shrink back down out of frustration.
Need to place thousands of woodland creatures.
Capitalism. He eventually does shrink back down, but not before calling them out on using their past behavior as a weapon. The fact that they clearly knew that their behavior annoyed him, but instead of changing, they used it against him. This is what makes Mao Mao and Adorabat realize how much of a jerk they've been, where they top off this episode by apologizing to him. They watch his show, listen to him when he has something to say. They even give him top bunk alongside a night lamp for drawing, and it's great. All of this episode is great. Badgerclops has some genuine reasons to be upset, and while he does act like a bit of a jerk during his song, which is
Top bunk! Toppest bunk of all! I can watch any show I want! You can't stop me, y'all! What's up?
okay, I guess, he still acts like the one with the most reason. That's what he's always been. So all in all, this episode is great. It's funny, heartfelt, and when Badgerclops is big, he steps on a wild buffalo named Todd, and when he shrinks back down...
I'm free.
A brave soldier. This episode lands itself in A tier. If only the other Badgerclops-centric episode followed suit in quality.
I feel like we forgot something.
Hey, Adorabat. Sorry to interrupt your sleep, but, you forgot your skin. Mao Mao's Bicycle Adventure. The premise of this episode is that the Sky Pirates are trying to steal the Aerocycle, but Mao Mao says they can't, and a hero is never wrong. He leaves the Aerocycle out in the open for the Sky Pirates to steal overnight. And also, Mao refers to the Aerocycle using terms that I thought he'd use for his adopted daughter.
They wouldn't dare try to steal my baby girl after the beating we just gave them.
So I really like this episode because it focuses on a major part of Mao Mao's character. His ego. One of the many rules he lives by is that a hero is never wrong, so he believes that everything that he says is fact. Like a conspiracy theory. So since he said earlier that the Sky Pirates could never steal the Aerocycle, He refused to believe they did, despite the obvious evidence. So he decides to...
Dude, you're literally grasping at straws.
Okay, sure. I'm grasping at straws. Yep. He stole my line! That's it! I'm going to reform your molecular structure to the state of a liquid! So he decides to mass interrogate the sweetie pies using the evidence that they gathered from the scene of the crime. And it's hilarious. With Mao Mao coping and saving as he makes up allegations based on a couple of visual similarities, while Breakup destroy the allegations using facts and logic. Also, this line,
"No one crossed this tape. It's time for a public meltdown,"
is one of those rare few moments where I found Breakup to be actually funny. It gets to the point where Mao Mao accuses both his best friend and adopted daughter, and you cannot convince me otherwise, that they stole the Aerocycle. And it leads to a great scene where Mao Mao, like a noir film from the 40s, interrogates a child. We also get a scene with the Sky Pirates who, just like in episode 3, are briefly more intimidating than they are in the rest of the series, especially when they load the gem cell into the ship. The shot composition here feels more like the handiwork of the power couple Alex Kwan and Nathaniel H. Jones, not Nora Meek and... Breakup's voice actor. And then Mama finds out that the Sky Pirates did do it when he sees them partying like there's no tomorrow through the most disturbing binoculars I have ever seen. He was wrong, which makes him believe that he's not a hero due to his "a hero is never wrong" mentality. But his best friend shows him that this wasn't the first time he messed up, and despite that, he still saved the day. And it's beautiful. It's a great showcase of how much Breakup cares for Mao, and it makes me wish that the show characterized him more like this instead of a loud, jerkish Winnie the Pooh. They eventually form a plan with elements that was foreshadowed throughout the episode, which is also pretty cool. It works. They take down the Sky Pirates with some awesome animation to boot.
The science show!
Pianos!
Get the Aerocycle back and apologize to the sweetie pies. So yeah, this is a great episode. A tier. Okay, you're probably getting annoyed by all the A's that I'm giving these episodes, but it's okay, because I think the next episode might break that pattern. Breakup! I've got nothing. So, this episode is interesting. It's probably the weakest out of this first batch of episodes, but it's still a pretty good episode. This episode opens with Mao Mao and Breakup taking down a purple piece of melting jello with legs. Okay then. Akira reference. They then take the dead jellyfish's flesh and use it to add flavor to their cakes. And you might have noticed that I said Mao Mao and Breakup and left the doorbell out of the equation, despite the fact that she was clearly there. Well, that is because Mao Mao and Breakup did all the heavy lifting and the doorbell didn't contribute to anything meaningful at all. Wait, did they already do this? Well, no actually. It's less about a doorbell feeling like she can't keep up with Mao Mao and Breakup, and more about her feeling left out of the friend group, as they bake cakes with the blood of jellyfish in them, and perform their
Rockabye, baby!
strange battle formations.
Yeah, it's probably the only thing you make that's edible. Everything else you make is complete garbage.
You make garbage sad. One thing I really like about this episode is how it introduces us to the first piece of Mao Mao lore. Breakup explains that he used to be part of a criminal gang known as the Thicket Thieves, who are well renowned for their British accents.
So we sneak up on him all quiet like and conk him, right, Governor?
Quiet, you twit. When he gets close to the rock, we jump him.
Aw, he looks so lonely, though. I mean, he looks like a right nice gent.
What's wrong with you, Badger?
May I just say that I am indifferent to that. One day, they decide to go after a weary traveler. Unfortunately for them, that weary traveler turns out to be the heroic Black Cat himself!
We should have brought weapons.
What a bright and intelligent young man. The thieves then leave Breakup behind, who is currently suffering from too many rocks under my feet-itis. Breakup comes clean to Mao, saying he sacrificed his moral standards to appear cool. Mao frees him. The two then become the heroic duo we meet in episode 1. This is a nice bit of backstory. It's good to see how these two became friends, since there are episodes that made me wonder why they were friends in the first. I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, that was a great moment. And then Adorat says,
That's how you became Mao Mao's sidekick.
Which leads to Mao Mao and Breakup arguing about whether Badge is their sidekick or co-hero, which makes them fight for Dorbat's attention to see which one is the cooler one so they can win this dumb argument. Cool. So this is what takes up a chunk of the episode's focus. Mao Mao and Breakup butting heads in it. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the characters who are best friends, or closely related at least, who have some disagreements and butt heads some of the time, but manage to still be best friends at the end of the day trope. I've just seen the trope used so many times in movies and such that I've grown numb to it. Now, when this trope is used for drama, it's fantastic, but when it's used for comedy?
You've got mail.
And this is what the show does with the trope, paid for comedy. And at worst, it's annoying, and at best, it's mildly funny, but not particularly interesting. And that's how I would describe them in this episode. Funny, but not interesting. All they do in this episode is argue with each other and fight for Dorvat's attention. It's not very interesting, and it takes up like a third of the episode's focus, maybe even more than a third.
Whatever, lawman!
Why, hello there, lawn man. How are the lawn wife and little kids doing? The only two things that could potentially keep me from putting this in C tier is one, some of Mao Mao and Breakup's lines got a chuckle out of me.
Writhing muppet! I think my accent's coming back!
You did that on purpose!
Yeah.
And two, I really like Adorat here. She wants to feel like friends with her heroes, so she wishes that they could do more cool stuff with her. And it comes true when a disagreement between the two drives them apart, which at first excites Dorbat. It means that she gets to hang out with her hero some more, but then her excitement unwinds when she realizes how annoying the two have become. And when she realizes this, she books it, and when she does, she makes this noise. I love it. She then tries to fake a rescue scenario reminiscent of the first time the two met, which instantly draws in real danger when a monster appears and wrecks the whole place. The duo is alerted of the incident by the monster alarm, which they go to, and they are still butting heads. They find a Dorbat there who reminds them of why they were friends in the first place, which makes them reconcile their disagreements.
You do everything together. You have so many memories. It's the kind of friendship I've always wanted.
This line will become sadder when more about Adorbat's past is revealed. You know what? Writing this segment out made me realize how much greater this episode is than I first thought of it. While I'm still not a big fan of the friends feuding trope, I think it's well written enough to make it one of the better uses of this trope. I've been thinking for the longest time about whether this should go in B tier or not, but ultimately, since this episode is past the midpoint of this first batch, I'm putting it in C tier. Plus, I think I remember Headchef following the same formula of Mao Mao Breakup butt heads. Dorbat makes them stop butting heads, they take down the monster. So yeah, still an okay episode though.
We've got a cake to bake.
Wait, did we leave the oven on at HQ?
Only you can stop forest fires.
Watch me! Watch me! Watch me! Watch me! Watch me! Watch me!
For the next episode, we have Not Impressed, and the impressed part of the title is going to be very important. Wanna know why? Because we're not even past the credits when Mama mentions they named the monster they're fighting the Impressor. Isn't that subtle? This opening fight is awesome. While the animation is just decent, it makes up for it with some of the sick moves Mao pulls off alongside the pretty cool framing that keeps this action sequence exciting. We'll also get a Dorbat distracting the monster with toy soldiers and doing a cute little dance afterwards. An innocent sweetie pie witnesses Mao Mao slicing off the monster's head and is scarred by it. It's great!
One, I parked the Aerocycle over...
So what does this episode have to do with being impressed? Well, as you can tell from that sweet action sequence, Mao Mao is really awesome and is well liked by the sweetie pies. That last part is not very consistent, but I digress, for there is one sweetie pie who looks like a depressed elephant and is not impressed by Mao Mao's sick moves. And Mao Mao decides the most reasonable course of action is to follow him around the place and show off how cool he can be while invading his personal space.
Okay, here's what we know so far. His name is Blue. His job is being a therapist. He drinks tea. Actually, that's all we got. He's pretty boring.
Give him a break. At least he doesn't listen to John Mayer. So Mao Mao is kind of egotistical, isn't he? Yes, he is. But there is a really good reason for that. Throughout the episode, We see flashes of Mao as a child, asking someone to watch him, begging someone to look at him. And later on, we learn that someone is his father, who neglected him during his youth, and didn't support his dreams of becoming a legendary hero. Something that still affects him as an adult as he surrounds himself with the flaws of others to compensate for the love that was neglected to him as a child. And when he sees this little sweetie pie innocently saying that he's not impressed, he can't handle it because it reminds him of the time when he was that small child desperate for love and affection. And to some extent, he still is as he attempts to impress him, desperate for affection as his past taunts him, and on one side, it's incredibly heartbreaking. Well, on the other side, it is absolutely hilarious with some of the goofy antics that Mao Mao does to get Blue's attention, like dancing like a creepy uncle on ecstasy, and smothering him with his lovely smelling gloves. He even gets to stalker levels with his obsessive attempts to impress this depressed gumdrop because of his daddy issues. It is glorious.
Is that a toothbrush?
Yes, indeed, Magiclops, and it can be used for many wonderful things, like brushing teeth, brushing feet, making your toaster look nice and shiny, back scratcher, butt scratcher, cleaning the organs you harvested from that dead guy you found. And once Mao Mao gets tired of all the running and configuring his body into painful positions, he then disguises himself as a sweetie pie, pretends to like his psychology books, and then reveals himself in front of public. And Mao Mao gets really happy. So happy that he...
You love me, Daddy! 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 Daddy!
Why yes, Mao, I do know that I am very hot. So, this is the breaking point, where all the built-up energy is released when Mao Mao finally impresses Blue, blurts out Daddy, referring to the father he desperately wants to impress. And he is embarrassed. But if you remember what Badgerclops said earlier in the episode, Blue is a therapist, and it's then revealed that it was all Mao Mao retelling the story in a future appointment with his therapist Blue. Either that or it's taking place directly after the embarrassing moment, I don't know. And it's where he admits that he feels better now that he's talking about it, probably because it's the closest thing he'll ever get to impressing his father, and leaves. And thus, we come to an end of an excellent episode. And I mean that. This episode is fantastic. It manages to be incredibly funny and incredibly tragic at the same time. It starts off with an epic action sequence. It introduces us to the defining trait of Mao Mao's past that is elaborated on in future episodes. And during the song Mao Mao and Badgerclops was singing to impress Blue, there's a line that...
I have the blues!
Every time my doggy leaves... Wait.
Hints at an episode that we'll get to soon. I'm putting this episode in S tier. It's just that great. This episode is definitely the best out of this first batch. And best of all, it introduces us to my favorite part of Adorabat's character. Her homicidal tendencies.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you love your mommy? Do you love your mommy?
My name is Gooey! It's Gooey!
Hello, I'm Mr. Magic Bat. Say, what's that behind your ear? Oh, it's your IP address. Enemy Mime is alright. Which is honestly shocking because this episode introduces us to the show's biggest mystery, the Ruby Beerheart's magical abilities. It's an aspect of the series that causes the conflict of some major episodes and is heavily hinted at being important. And the first important thing it does in the series, other than protecting the Ruby Beerheart before Mao Mao cracked it,
My bones!
is summon Gooey's long-lost gay cousin who likes to copy others. And Mao Mao and Badgerclops each tried to get rid of him, with Mao Mao confronting the Glob in a battle that is actually pretty sweet. This is done at one kind of like Jones joint, and Badgerclops does so by outgaying the gay Glob by acting so gay that when the gay Glob copies him, it makes him look more gay than he already did, and both of them end up failing miserably. What else do you want me to say? That's all they do in this episode, and while I understand that it contributes to the episode's message, I don't particularly find it interesting. With that being said though, there are at least two things that keep this episode from being boring. One, the little arc that Breakup has with his relationship with his brother, which is another neat lore reveal. But even saying that, it's not really noticeable until the climax of the episode, which is good more so because of B. 2. Adorabat. The little fella makes the boring episodes bearable yet again. Not only does she have some really funny moments like when she almost attempts property damage and this gem of a line,
We got a budget for riot gear!
but she is also absolutely adorable here, especially during the climax of the episode when she puts on her best Brandon Urie cosplay and uses the magic tricks that she's been alluding to throughout the episode to get the Sweetie Pies and the rest of the sheriff's department out of the gay gumdrop. Which leads to an adorable ending where Mao Mao and Breakup congratulate Adorabat and recognize that they are getting caught up in their own point of view and dismissing Adorabat's magic show as useless and not contributing to the task at hand. And then she adorably poses like she's showing off the items she got from the black market and is ready to sell them to you. So, this one's going in B tier, because while I still think it's okay, there were at least some minuscule aspects that I enjoyed and curved my judgment a little bit.
I don't need to take this! I have a new friend now who understands a little thing called manners. Come along, my new best friend. What just happened?
An actor's life for me.
Alright, we have a good episode up next. Outfoxed. One thing that I really like is the more high-pitched voice Leon puts on for Adorabat in this episode.
It's a time-honored tradition that's been going on for years and years and years and years. Oh, Mao Mao, what if they were just trying to stop it from falling out of your pocket? I'm flying! See, Mao Mao, it works for me.
You can tell that she's trying to sound more like a 5-year-old in this episode, unlike in previous episodes where she sounded...
No! It can't end here!
Off. Yeah, let's say that. Sure, it's kind of rough around the edges, but it still lays a solid foundation for the voice she puts on for the rest of the series, and the voice I associate with the character more. So this episode is about this bag of lies and his lackey setting up this holiday for Thanksgiving Day, where on one special day of every year, the Sweetie Pies give them gifts. And that's it. And the song they sing about is hilarious. The lyrics are a thinly veiled attempt to convince the listener that giving away your precious belongings is fun, and the Sweetie Pies, being the idiots that they are, fall for it. It's good. And when Mao Mao and Breakup attempt to arrest the frauds, the Sweetie Pies boo him, because of course they would! Of course these whiffles will give into the lies of this sleazy prick, because all of them have bricks for brains! Is this the reason why their feelings towards Mao Mao are so inconsistent?
Take my hand! In marriage.
What? I'm thirsty.
Even Adorabat falls for them, but I refuse to call this adorable psychopath an idiot. It's more so because she's innocent to their true nature, because she's just a child that doesn't know any better. Adorabat doesn't know that people act nice to manipulate people, so she's blind to the blatant attempts to manipulate the Sweetie Pies into endangering themselves. Like when the special men call the pepper in this pepper mill magic flying dust. As the Sweetie Pies line up so it can spray this so-called dust on them, tells them to spread their arms out and believe, which almost makes them commit. So obviously, Mao Mao and Breakup attempt to stop them. And can I just say that I love the dad Mao showing here? There are some moments in this episode that show you how much of a dad Mao Mao is to Adorabat. Like, I mean, come on, listen to this!
Adorabat? I'm just trying to keep you safe!
Can you seriously tell me that doesn't sound like a father worrying about the safety of his daughter? And that's not all. The plan he and Breakup come up with is absolutely genius. Well, if you ignore the fact that Mao Mao's disguise magically gives him the ability of flight. Makes the episode more memorable. Plus, I'll just make up the excuse that the suit's wings work similar to ones made out of flesh. So Mao writes Adorabat a note alongside a map telling her to meet him at this location, where he then disguises himself as Adorabat so he can go to the specialmen and get them to lure him into their place. And then Breakup switches places with Reg with Breakup's disguised as Reg, and when Mao Mao finally gets to the specialmen's lair, Mao Mao, still disguised as Adorabat, annoys a confession out of Rufus, and all these threads all build up to Adorabat overhearing the confession, finding out that the specialmen are manipulative losers. Did you get all that garbage? I'll take that as a yes. And that leads into this hilarious scene where they reveal themselves to Rufus in the most traumatizing way. Mama and Butterclops were about to arrest Reg and Rufus, and then a doormat absolutely folds the special men, absolutely demolished by this murder baby, and thrown into the...
Oh, I can taste it, getting all in my toes.
A doormat finally learns that you shouldn't trust someone just because they're nice, and thus, wrapping up this really solid episode. Like, I don't think there's a single thing I dislike about this episode. Trying to look for one would give me a headache, so I'm putting it in S tier. Definitely one of the better comedic episodes of the series.
Is that a dog?
And finally, we end off this video on a high note with the episode Bao Bao's Revenge. First minute in, and we already have the most important part of the episode established. Mao Mao's telling a doormat a story about how he and Butterclops took down a bunch of Mark Zuckerbergs, which Butterclops revealed to be because he got butthurt over them making him drop his ice cream. This moment establishes how Mao Mao exaggerates the truth due to negative emotions he associates with them, which is the focus of this episode. The king then alerts the sheriff's department to... which they immediately do when they find out that the king is dead! Oh, nope, never mind. He was just hiding. False alarm. Well then, what's with all the bones then? Mao Mao then realizes that bones form a message. Beware the monster Bao Bao. This is when Mao Mao realizes that it's his old adventuring partner, whose name is Bao Bao. What a creative name! He and Mao Mao used to adventure together, until one fateful day, when they went adventuring into a cave that holds a mystical amulet that shows the user their most treasured memory. It's revealed to be guarded by a hideous god monster, where a chase ensues, and when Mao Mao tries to hold up the crumbling cave exit for Bao Bao, he just runs off, leaving Mao Mao alone to have his tail crushed by the boulder. And it's this moment that made him lose his innocence, turning him into the somewhat jaded person he is right now. And now, he's heading towards the valley, where he'll surely plunge it into bloodshed.
Well, well, Jimmy the Arsonist, you are not gonna believe your luck.
So, naturally, Mao Mao rallies the Sweetie Pies by passing spears onto everyone and coaching them like a war general would. Gotta love Mao Mao reminding everyone that he is, indeed, sheriff. Oh no, he's coming. Quick,
positions.
I was gonna say that, thank you very much. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it! Oh, well that explains the weird name. Mao Mao apparently likes to name his pets after himself. Hello, I'm Toby. This is my dog named Moby, my cat named Kobe, and my hamster named Captain Jerry Celery Feet III. Yeah, as Mao Mao confirms, that is Bao Bao, who is just a regular dog, not the violent barbarian that he made him out to be. And for some time, I had mixed feelings on the following slump in the pacing. While it certainly does give off the impression that Mao Mao made everything up, even for a brief moment, it also makes rewatches of the episode very tedious. Well, I'm not sure about very tedious, but you get it. It makes it feel tedious. But hey, there's still some great interactions here, and at least it doesn't take up too much time because it's not too long before it's revealed that Bao Bao was being chased by the same monster from the cave! And how do our heroes other than Mao Mao come to that conclusion?
Butterclops, look! That scar! It's the monster from Mao Mao's story! See? It's all true! He really did find the nasty looking monster with the scar!
The fact that Doorbat has the ability to remember such a small detail is amazing.
Violence! Wow!
So after Doorbats and Butterflops attempt to attack the beast head-on fail,
Oh boy! Company!
Mao Mao and Bao Bao team up in the first time in years to take down the beast that tore them apart in the first place. And the battle itself is pretty okay, even with the shoddy tweening, and we learn that Bao Bao actually is a skilled and competent fighter, throwing the deputies for another loop. And so, the monster is finally defeated. Mao Mao struggles to forgive Bao Bao for abandoning him. That is until Bao Bao shows him his most treasured memory in the amulet. Teenage Mao Mao saying that he is his best friend and that he loves him. He did not forget about him, and he still has positive emotions towards him. A teary-eyed Mao Mao finally forgives him. Mao Mao talks about all the new exciting things they could do together. until Mao Mao gets distracted by a single butterfly and... Oof. When Mao Mao launches into a fit of rage, Adorabat, for one final time, tries to put the pieces together and figures it out. Mao Mao didn't mean to leave Mao Mao alone. In fact, he didn't even realize he left him at all. He was too distracted by the butterfly to notice. So, he abandoned Mao Mao, leaving him to lose his tail and his innocence. So, to cope with the trauma, he uses exaggeration to hide his pain, a habit he probably picked up from his parental neglect. And years later, after he and Mao Mao finally took down the monster that tore them apart, just when he was about to finally forgive his best friend, Mao Mao falls for the same old tricks he did when they first separated, rehashing the same old emotions that happened that fateful day. And it's only till Adorabat points all this out that Mao Mao breaks down crying, letting all the bottled up emotions inside him out, with Adorabat reassuring him that she'll never leave him. This moment is great because it ties all these loose threads of what is true and what isn't, and Mao Mao's exaggeration, leading to this brief yet powerful moment. Well, at least till Ultraclops ruins it.
What is he doing? No! No! No, this is terrible! He's ruining the soup! And nobody's noticing? It's your restaurant! Do something!
What can I do? I am a figment of your imagination.
But he's ruining the soup!
So yeah, this is a really great episode that I'm putting in A tier, because while I don't think it's perfect, it's at least good enough to be both a really fun episode and yet another emotional lore-focused episode. And you know, one thing I noticed is that when you come to think of it, the true enemy here are butterflies, since they were the ones who caused the two to separate in the first place. Taking that into consideration, I think we can eliminate all pain and misery in the world with one simple tactic. Wage war on butterflies! Save my bacon, they say it soothes the soul. So, it's important to note that these rankings are not final. My feelings towards these episodes might change over the course of the series, which also means that the places that these episodes are in might change as well, so I want you to keep that in mind. I hope you enjoyed this video, because this is just the beginning. When I say that I am passionate about the show, I mean it. This show is the reason why I wanted to start a channel in the first place. That is how serious I am. I hope you people are ready, because some of the takes in this series are certified hot, and we are in for a roller coaster of a ride through the ups and downs of the show called Mao Mao Heroes of Pure Heart. Oh, well, I hope you do, because that second season is never coming out! Yay!
We were all born to suffer.
Maybe it's a bunny.
Or a tricker!
Or